Hey friends, I had a piano lesson today with my amazing teacher Madeline. Back in the saddle again. Haven't practiced as much as I wish I had, but we had a wonderful session, and it was kind of this, as virtually every time, as it happens virtually every time, I had a musical lesson come through that also applies to life. You know, today we were talking about, because I hadn't really practiced too many of my classical pieces, I was like, oh, maybe I'll play some jazz for you. I'd never really played jazz for Madeline, so we did that. And a lesson came through about, I've talked about this probably on this post before, there's a way in which when we get into particularly technically difficult classical music, we have to learn to put emphasis on some parts of a phrase and then strip all the emphasis away from the rest of the phrase. There's tension, there's a kind of impulse in certain parts of the phrase, certain notes, and then the rest of the notes just kind of ride that impulse. So there's an inherent contraction and expansion, breathing in, breathing out, tension and release, however we want to think of it, in every phrase of classical music. And part of what we learn is that technical element and the expressive element kind of merge in realizing that. So in other words, as not only is it more technically possible to play a technically difficult phrase if we have a specific place where we're putting the emphasis and everything else is kind of de-emphasized, but also that's going to feel musically the most right. It's going to sound good, it's going to feel good. And that's something that I've been working on now for quite some time. But what I noticed today in playing jazz for Madeline was that I don't do that really very consciously when I'm playing jazz. I sort of tend to, I think a little bit, I get caught a little bit in the forest and I don't see the trees as much when I'm playing jazz. I don't think of a phrase as having a single impulse. I'm sort of like punching out notes that sound good to me, and they tend to be kind of a percussive feel, and there's less of a lyrical line to the overall phrases that I play. And I think as a result, there's less of a lyrical line in the overall structure of what I play. So that was a big thing, and it kind of woke me up. It kind of gave me an assignment to play improvised music, whether it's jazz or whether it's my own kind of explorations, and really think about that. Really let myself perceive, okay, what is this phrase that I'm about to play? What's the breadth of it? Where's the line going? Where does the line start? So it's something that I'm just going to play a little bit and explore that. I thought it'd be a good way of coming. It's the kind of thing where once I'm conscious of it, I see every little detail of what I'm doing, what I'm not doing. But I think that notion, it also just kind of shows up for me as a life lesson that as someone who has always had a kind of urgent impulse taking me forward in whatever I happen to be pursuing, whether it's my professional life, whether it's my personal life, whether it's my, when I was younger, it was hobbies and sports and things that I would just get obsessed with for periods of time. There was a kind of urgency to it and a sort of like immediate desire for progress, for growth, for learning. And in some ways I carry that even today. I think it's kept me growing in some healthy ways, but it has also meant that I can pretty easily get caught on growth in the kind of micro, or on success in the micro. And the notion that a phrase has an impulse, that it kind of starts has a breath and lands. There's a kind of like a phrase length to life, the phrase length of a day, an emphasis point in the day, a time in the day to relax. Man, I could do with some of those. My day goes bang, 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 and a lot of times I just find myself not really relaxing. So it's this idea, this notion of impulses in a phrase, and the kind of way that my classical work is now cresting over into my improvised music, and thereby into my life, is a kind of a helpful lesson. It feels like a good one, because maybe I could get even more accomplished and have it cost me even less effort, and have even more fun, and have even more of a sense of purpose and direction, if some of that urgency could, know where it belongs, and then know when it's time to chill. So, that's what I got today, folks. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.